212. I just had my dialogue partner for today online with me, but we appear to have dropped him out of the live stream. But I'll keep an eye out and he'll come back in. So I'll just go ahead and do my intros until Shaun gets back to us. If you're as you're logging in, if you guys would be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, just checking to make sure that Terry Valor is here as number one. Okay, and here comes Shaun. Hang on 1 second. Let me just bring him back in. And not yet. All right, Shaun, if you can hear me, I don't see. I just have a blue screen for you right now. So as you're logging in, guys, if you'd be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button, and feel free to continue doing so throughout the dialogue. If you're catching the simulcast over on the YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. If you enjoy my work and you'd like to support the program, please visit jkdrebel.com, click on the Rebel Gear link, and that's where you'll see stuff like this. The JKD Notables coffee mug, also available as a hideous, according to Paul Bax, available as a hideous hoodie, t-shirt, and all that good stuff. But of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video, talk it up, and let everybody know about the Jeet Kune dialogues. All right, so Shaun keeps dropping in and out, so I'll just talk about him until he comes back in. He is a fellow Floridian Jeet Kune colleague. He and I met probably in the 1990s, in the early 1990s, back when Sifu Inasano would visit southern Florida with me, and then he would be in the central Florida area with Luis Martinez, and the good old days when people like Shaun and I were about 16 years old in the 90s. This is his second appearance on the Jeet Kune dialogues, and so you guys are going to get to listen in while he and I catch up with each other. Let me see who's here. Like I said, Terry Valor, thanks always for being number one on the podcast, Terry. Pedro Rodriguez. Pedro, so everybody, I'll tell you some closing details. Pedro Rodriguez of Progressive Fighting Systems in Palm Beach, Florida. So I got two fellow Floridian JKD colleagues back to back. Pedro will be on with us this time next week. Lance Lamont is here. Kenny Murphy from Jacksonville. Oh, Florida in the house. Bo Jackson from Tallahassee. Oh, come on, man. All right. More Floridians and Anthony Barreto is over on the YouTube. The 411, Anthony, is the 141. That's what's up, right? All right, so let's see. No notification from Shaun yet. All right, so I'll go ahead and do a little bit more promotion stuff until he gets here. I told you guys on Wednesday during the I Love Jeet Kune broadcast that this platform that we use, Be Live, is actually a Ukrainian outfit. And so I've been a little bit trepidatious about whether or not we'll be able to continue using the platform while this stuff continues to happen. Okay, there he is. All right. Okay, check the audio. Let's see. Nope. Oh man. Well, he's got some really sophisticated equipment and what have you. So I think that's why we're having an issue. So if you are inclined to do something about the situation in Ukraine, there's a website, helpukrainewin.org. I think on Wednesday I said .com. It's actually helpukrainewin.org. You can go there for, if, like I said, if you're thusly inclined, and check out what goes on there. The other thing I want to tell you about is this little gem here. So the Jeet Kune Journey Volume 1 is my second foray into Jeet Kune publishing, but my first is something that I actually wrote by myself. And so you are welcome to check that out. It's available as a PDF download, and you can get it at paypal.me/unified MA Miami. That's paypal.me/unified MA Miami. And read it and let me know what you guys think. Okay, all right, so let me get all this stuff out of there and get Shaun in. I still don't understand why he keeps falling out. All right, Shaun, try it one more time. It's the wonders of technology. Sometimes the technology gods don't work with us. Okay, let's see. All right. And I got a ton of good questions for him. There's actually some stuff about Shaun that I don't know if you guys are aware, but I won't reveal it myself. I'll let him tell you about it. But yeah, where is he? So I'll just stand here looking dumb. So I wonder if you guys, actually, I don't have my notebook in front of me, but on my commute to my private client, I have an opportunity to read stuff and to write and you know, have ideas on who I want to bring on the Jeet Kune dialogues, what I want to talk about on the I Love Jeet Kune broadcast, ideas for Facebook posts, you know, and that type of stuff. So there are a couple ideas that I'm working on right now, and of course they're going to be, not that I intend for them to be controversial, of course, but you know, anytime that you put something up and it's not for some people, if it's not literally something that Bruce Lee said or whatever. In fact, even sometimes when you say something that Bruce Lee literally said, then that people will interpret it to suit their own ways and what have you. So some of the stuff that I'm working on is another entry into the how do we teach Jeet Kune into that series. Another one is on a little bit on Muay Thai. And what's the other one? Okay, one more time. Let me move this. Okay. You got to do whatever it is you got to do for me to hear you.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. We got any audio?
Okay.
USB cam.
Yep.
Okay.
We do. Okay. Are you checking with people who are not on Facebook, like in your big wizard studio with all your technical stuff? Is that what's going on?
Right now? No. No, I'm just trying to get the, I haven't used this platform before. So going directly from this particular web browser is a little odd. How does this sound? Is it
Oh yeah, no. It's perfect.
Oh,
Right.
is it? Okay.
Yeah, you have too much technology, man. I'm telling you, that's what it is. That's
I'm
what it
telling you,
is.
man.
Right.
That
Well,
kinda.
I no, you do, no. Listen, but here's the thing. So I told people that you had like major announcements and what have you, but
Yeah.
you know, so let's talk about the technology, because you got a wicked new website, right, at Core
Yeah.
JKD, right?
Yeah,
Which
definitely.
I was on there for quite some time yesterday. Right.
Cool.
So go ahead and tell
Excellent.
people,
Excellent.
go ahead. Yeah. Well, welcome back to the Jeet Kune
Yes.
Dialogues.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate
so,
it. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
tell people what's
Yeah.
going on. Okay. Well, you know what? Tell them first again. So the name of your outfit, CoreJKD, right, .com. Give us the origin of the name, Core JKD.
First, the corejkd.com is the main website, and then the new one is corejkd.net. So that's the one that has all the newfangled,
that's
almost 500 videos. It's I mean, years and years of training. You aren't gonna run out of that. Core JKD is simply I had to distill what was being taught, and basically I don't want to downplay the Inner lineage, the Jeet Kune concepts, which was my formal training. You know how we would go in and we would train. You have your hour of Jun Fan, then you have an hour of Muay Thai, then you have Wing Chun, then you have Savat, Penjak Silat, combat submission wrestling, and so forth. And when it came to sparring, which was my favorite class, very few people showed up, was one of the big things. And which opened up a avenue of understanding in humanity that bemused me and confused me.
Right.
And at this point, I saw during sparring, during the actual fighting, really engaging it with the people who did show up, there were discrepancies between how they were training really well in the actual classes themselves versus how it came out in sparring. In sparring, there was such a discrepancy and such a disparate, it was like different people fighting. And anybody who has fought and trained knows that there is that discrepancy between a type of physical training, especially in traditional martial arts, versus actually fighting, actually getting in there with headgear and swinging and taking those elements that you've trained for so long and seeing really what comes out in the sparring.
Right.
And a lot of the times, a lot of what we trained didn't apply, especially when the goal for me, which was part of the core, was to survive against single and multiple opponents with or without weapons in a variety of environments. And that was where I had to develop my own. I had to come up with Core JKD because there was a lot of things that we would do that, like I said, didn't apply or applied in such very minuscule areas that as almost to be useless to train, in that you could support it through other types of training or support it through other techniques and things like that. Yeah. So I pared away and distilled down to the core of what my philosophy was, which I just explained. And that has a specific intent. An attacker has a specific intent. So my expression, all of my training, had to pare down to surviving in a real fight against somebody who has an intent to harm and kill.
Right.
Period. So there are core elements that arise from that, or that basically are a substrate of all the other training from all these different martial arts and things like that, that humanity expresses in a life and death situation.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What do you think happened? How did something like Jeet Kune, which started out as search for truth in combat, now it's being disseminated on seminar, and then we have people like you who become, for lack of a different expression, dissatisfied with what was being distilled. What do you think? Have you ever thought about what happened? Let's call it a transformation. What the reason for that could have been?
Yeah. So a lot of the way, especially in Western teaching, and that goes from school and everything else, you have rote memorization of facts and things like that. You also have a specific, we're going to repeat this over and over, whether it's an activity and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And you are going to ingrain a neuromuscular physiology or repetitive pattern so that you can perform this well in an industrial or commercial enterprise. So that's the mentality. And traditional martial arts training reflected that, or vice versa. It may have come from martial arts or that type of thing, where you have a need to bring all these unique creating individuals who have a unique body of experience, every single one of them, even identical twins. They will have disparate experiences that are completely different than their twin.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have people in large body organizations trying to get everybody to a certain level of function for a specific purpose. Now, some of the traditional martial arts and current martial arts is to achieve a certain level or a black belt or things like that.
Right.
And that parallels with industry. You have to achieve a certain level of functionality to perform and be an asset to a company. When you have all these individuals, like I say, we have this unique creative mindset that has to be thrown into a box to perform in a specific way in order to achieve not just your goal, but a goal that kind of goes in line with your instructor, or because they may have a particular goal of having a certain number of students, or that or a presence in the community, or feed the ego or whatnot. And so you have to have a specific set of patterns that people can fall into easily,
right,
and then express. And then on the outside, you're saying that looks good, and that's uniform. Humans love patterns. Humans love uniformity.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, a fight is none of that. I mean, a fight for your life is
Right.
none of that. It's a
Right.
bloody, messy, sloppy thing. So, but that's kind of the discrepancy, because you're trying to, in some way, even with JKD, what Bruce was doing, as you know, people in the know, is that self-expression that he was refining, and that working to minimize the expression for the maximum effectiveness for him and for each of his students. That's hard to do in a massive group setting. That's why JKD groups are generally smaller groups, because we're catering to the individual.
I was hoping that you would get to that, because I think I was hearing you trying assiduously to avoid saying that it's hard to teach this stuff on seminar, and then if you're primarily seminar educated and you take the seminar stuff back into your classroom, you're missing part of the essence. So,
Yeah.
so you'll be Jordan Peterson, and I'll be that lady from the BBC. So what you're saying is,
Well, I like to go a little above Jordan Peterson, because we're talking about breaking from that formality of that mindset
yeah,
and pattern recognition to
but
training something that is
right, but
non-pattern.
that's it. So I mean, so in all seriousness, it seems to
Yeah.
me that you're saying that JKD ended up becoming traditionalized.
And here's the thing: there's a group of people out there right now watching and who are in the know. You're one of them, and I like to think I'm one of them. Who, through our expression, we pass on a stimulus to our students to where it elevates them out of where they are to better optimized states. The seminar training and so forth, you get a sliver that, you know, it is when Guru Dan is working with 300 students, you have to kind of say, okay, let's all do this with the stick. Let's all do this pattern. And it's easy to watch and see who's varying from that. And it's easy to give them a sense that they have done something in that moment, when the truth of the matter is that the experience with this creating individual, Guru Dan, is really what's the important thing. Watching, observing how he interacts and how he moves and how he adapts from one student to the next, one subject to the next, one range and so forth to the next. People get caught up in this pattern is JKD. And because of that historical training that we've had, industrial type mentality, rote memorization, people think that you have to have that in order to have JKD, because that's the only way to learn. You know, that's
they don't understand what they're looking at. They don't understand what they're experiencing. Yeah. So, well, I know that you teach seminar, or at least pre-COVID, you did teach seminars.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, we had another one. We were going to go to Germany again when that hit, and it was like, oh.
Okay. So have you, or did you do anything different or special to convey your idea that it's not this pattern?
I do that with my students, and I do that on, the corejkd.net, and I try to do that as much as I can in the YouTube videos, which is difficult because that hits a wall of hopeful, inspiring awe, imbued people, and a massive ignorance that is ready to type out their ignorance at the slightest provocation. And provocation is that you put something up for them to attack.
Right. Yeah.
You have to weed all that out and talk to the people who really are seeking a better experience in their training. And so I try to do that as much as I can online, in my online presence, because that was huge. That's what spurred my redesign of my member site for jkd.net. And I'm cataloging, and I'm tagging all of these videos and everything else to say, well, this is level 1, this is level 2, these are level 3, and so forth. And I still have a lot of work to do to tag them all. It's sometimes the largest problem that I have.
I don't know if we talked about this the last time around. What constitutes your different levels? What's the makeup of that?
Level is somebody who has absolutely zero training and has to go through. I actually have quite an extensive level requirement. So basically, it's a bunch of skills that the person has to exhibit in their training that I understand after 40 years of training and 30 years of teaching, that if that foundation is there, they're ready for the next part. And I can put that in there, and they're not even thinking of what they had just learned. It's automatic response.
Right.
It's natural. And when that's there, then they're ready for the level 2 stuff. But the problem is sometimes during level 1 material, I'll throw on level 2 or level 3 stimuli,
right,
so that it gets them working really hard on something new while just reinforcing that base over and over again, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
And what I'm really doing is just training that base level material.
Do y'all have a schedule for who works the camera, or do you have a dedicated camera person?
That I have wonderful people between. Even Gary was starting to pick up the camera, but Ninja and Anna, they're artists in their own right, and they took to it really quickly. Because when you see our short films, we had that.
I'm in awe of your video output. Right, I think I've said that to you before. So I'm surreptitiously trying to steal your video secrets. See,
dude, I'll give you classes on it. There's no problem. I'd be happy to share. I've got probably on my hard drive right now about 2 terabytes of stuff we've shot that I have yet to edit and just get up, and that's terabytes. When you're looking at, it depends on the type of camera. So if I'm using the Blackmagic, sometimes it's a heavier data set, but sometimes I'm pulling in 200 gigabytes of video each week, and I'm cataloging that, and I'm getting that all set up. So I have a very extensive library already. I've got almost 800 videos on YouTube, and then I've got another 500 right now that's up on the corejkt.net, and probably another 600 sitting on my hard drive waiting to be finished. Yeah. So, but yeah,
not to be morbid or anything, but when you're gone, where's all this video gonna go? Who gets it?
Well, Dwight, funny you mentioned that. No, what are you doing for the next 20 years? No, I have a backup, Marco Hildebrandt. He's the European Core JKD representative. He has access to a lot of my content, and he'll have access to a lot more. He is somebody that I entrust a certain level of functionality. I mean, this is a guy who, when we went over there the first time to teach and test, because he had been working online, sending me videos, and I'm sending it back. And when we finally got over there, it was a matter of, we did 8 days straight of training. It was like 3 hours, 4 hours a day of training. A ton of that was conditioning, because I had to make sure he was capable of surviving the fight, but also to teach a student, you've got to be able to perform at a certain level. So he went through a crucible of hard stuff. I mean, I've got videos. You talk about some stuff, and to his and every one of them, one of their, to my amazement and my students' amazement, we did things quite more strenuously than they were used to. When they went through all that training, I mean, there was no complaint. It was, this is what we've got to do. This is breathing for us. And he has such a, we have something we share in common. So we're both on the spectrum, autism spectrum, Asperger's. And so he's got that too, which I just found out he shared that with me a little while ago. And it was like, that's why we're connecting. That's why we don't have to be like super nice to each other. We just kind of like, we talk and we get the work done, and that's it. And there's no insult. We're not insulted or offended. We just get right to work. And so he's right now training his students over there, and it's beautiful to watch. It really is. There's such a wonderful group of people, as most JKD people are, who really come to us, as you know. I'm sure you have some wonderful students who are just the cream of humanity, and that we just want to keep fostering and strengthening.
Yeah, I have. I call them my lovable knuckleheads.
That's pretty good.
But that's them. That's them.
Yeah.
Give me another name origin. Rebel Wing Chun.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to. Even though I rail against, personally, not publicly, I rail against a traditional mindset that is unforgiving, and that when you have someone telling you that a bong sao or whatever it happens to be, a stick movement and things like that, has to be a specific angle to the degree. I mean, and that if that isn't there, you don't have this in this little tiny spot. That degree, it's not Wing Chun, or it's not Kali, or it's not whatever else. And it's like, okay, I'm looking for function in a fight against an opponent who wants to harm or kill me.
Yeah.
There is no precision in that. What is precision? The degree that they're looking for precision is hindering them in the liveness and the reality of a real fight and being able to defend themselves properly. So I would routinely get, so on my YouTube channel, I cull through the type of responses that I get. And because it's like, that YouTube channel is my house. You come to my house and you want to talk rude to me and so forth, I'm going to show you the door. It's you want to come here and you want to have an engaging discussion. You want to tell me where I'm wrong and things like that, but you do it respectfully. You're in. I have no problem with that. I'll discuss things with you. When people are so caught up in the dogma of an institution that demands such precision that does not exist in real fights, you get hammered by them. So you get hammered by not demonstrating that all the time. And so I said, I'm rebelling against this. I'm rebelling, and this is Rebel Wing Chun.
Right.
So they can't complain and say that this isn't Wing Chun, and I'll say, absolutely, it's Rebel Wing Chun. This is the Wing Chun that will work in a knife fight.
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to. What were the comments like when you used the knife? Was it the knife in the bong sao drill? I forget. But you used,
Believe it or not, I get no comments from that. It's like they're very silent, and it's like they're listening, and they're like thinking, and it's like,
Wow.
When I start using that and I start demonstrating the effectiveness of that, they've got nothing to say.
Wow.
I find that really interesting.
That's a hell of a breakthrough, man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. And to be fair, there are a couple of really good Wing Chun instructors. You can see them on there in some of the comments because I passed them through, who are respectful and who understand what I'm doing. They really appreciate it. And then they give the version of what it would be in a traditional Wing Chun. And it's like, that's great. This is what it's about. This communicating and sharing and so forth, and respecting each other so that we grow and we see where these differences are. Mine just happens to be in a fight-oriented, life-surviving type situation. Because I've trained with a lot of people, and I've trained with a lot of different people from different systems, including Wing Chun, Aikido, you name it. And when it comes down to sparring, pulling out the knife at random times when they don't expect it, or when somebody throws it in from the side, because that's what we do, or a rope, or a shirt, or a stick, or an object, some other object, a book, how do they deal with that? Their training hasn't prepared them for that. There's no precise angle that they can move their hand to deflect a book that is coming with a corner that's ready to jam into their throat, that sort of thing. So they seem to have seen what I've done with the Bong Sao flow, with the knife word,
Okay.
and say, okay, I have a feeling they appreciate that, and
Nice.
man, they haven't said any complaint. And I'll
That's
tell you what, another thing.
That's very encouraging.
Yes, it really is. And you know, one-on-one by themselves, and it's usually the people who have gone through fights and taken their time and gained a little wisdom with their experience, who don't immediately come out and say, oh, that's wrong. That will, I love this, that will never work. That will never work. And it's like,
yeah.
And because again, they haven't experienced, I mean, I've gone against heavy sparring, guy who is 300 pounds, 7 feet tall, other guys who are 300 pounds that were 5'9", to the 70-pound thin, wiry guys, and women. I've run the gamut. I mean, people that I had to test myself against.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I'm speaking from experience when I'm doing this stuff, that there isn't this precision. There is a foundation, a base that you have to have: base, cover, mobility, awareness of surroundings, adaptability, relentlessness.
Well, but now hold on a second. Though. So I'm gonna pretend that I don't understand what you mean, right? Mm-hmm. But you just said there is no precision. So you're saying precision doesn't play a part in your training at all?
The precision, and this will surprise and counter some of what I just said, I will demonstrate for my students some of the precise mechanics of the traditional mindset from Wing Chun, mm-hmm. from some of the Kali work, things like that, or maybe traditional aspects of how a punch is thrown. So I will show them precisely what happens. This is the mechanics. This is how you do it. The problem comes in is that a lot of people, for however they've lived their life, have a different experience in how they can hold a fist out for a punch, or how they can move or swing an arm with a knife in it. A lot of times they have to overcome the fear, which is sometimes childhood generated emotional content that I have to circumvent or adapt so that can be turned on and turned off. So that's also trained, because that inhibits the body's progression forward. So the thing about a fight is adrenaline and so forth comes into play. When I start working with my students who are very experienced with what I do, but I pull out the knife and I put on the headgear and things like that, they get this, you can see it come over them. This adrenaline starts pumping and everything else, because they know oftentimes bad Ming comes out. So bad Ming doesn't care about your feelings. He's going to give you safe stimulus. I do give them safe, and there is a great degree of safety in everything we do. But I have an intent about me that is serious, and that I will push them to extremes that they are capable of, not that they have expressed and shown, but I have observed, and through which I know from training how many people exists in them.
Yeah.
So the precision is in how stable are you against someone pushing on you from all these different angles? Mm-hmm. How stable are you when two people are pulling you onto a table and are ready to do something to you? Mm-hmm. effective are you at releasing their grip, passing one over onto the other, or using the table as an object. That's where our precision lies, in the ability to adapt by what they feel in their hands or what's grabbing them, what they see in their periphery, and enacting that intuitively into the right pathways for survival.
Yeah. Tell me two stories.
That's the precision.
Tell me two stories about when you push people that way. Tell me a story about when it backfired on you, and the story about when you achieved exactly what you were hoping to achieve. Because I'm thinking that sometimes people aren't ready to be pushed, or we think they are, and then we discover that they weren't.
I've had experienced grown men cry, so that's kind of when you know, okay, we've hit an experience wall in this person. They have to absorb, they have to adapt, they have to incorporate that into their being and understand, I can take it from this point and just leave and go and never come back. Right. Or I can sit with it, learn with it,
right.
Take that humility and bring it back to me in the next class.
Yeah.
So I have had that. So that existed. And it's up to the point, because I'm very aware of what I'm doing, and I'm looking for the cues at all times, because we have to deal with the emotional state. And that has to be really high, because people will turn into sometimes an aggressive nature, where all of a sudden it is literally their father beating them when they were a kid comes out, that sort of thing.
Right.
And then you have to bind, you have to hold or separate and say, let's take a break, breathe, relax, calm, understand where you're at, that I'm not here to harm you. I'm only here to give you stimulus, that sort of thing. So that has happened in the past, and but to good effect. They learn from experience and they grow. It's tremendous. I have had people who, one guy brought in his girlfriend for training, and he had never trained before. I mean, he might have done some boxing, I don't know where though. But it's the typical light bulb male, big upper body, thin lower body. So really, really trying to impress. And so he couldn't hold the focus mitts up for his girlfriend for more than 30 seconds. He'd have to put the arms down. He was so tired and exhausted, and they never came back because he was so humiliated by how he performed in there. And so that was,
hey,
we get all versions.
For a brief a brief portion today, we were talking about business, right? A JKD, and somebody was talking about following up on leads. Is that a guy that you would follow up with?
I tend to not follow up on leads. I tend to let people know I'm here, and I'm approachable. And if you want to engage with me, whatever happened the day before, I will not hold any of your embarrassment against you. I won't make, some people have a tremendous and wonderful ability to laugh at themselves and make fun of themselves. And I've had some great people who are they crack me up so much because of how much they're putting themselves down but they do it. They know their limits and things like that.
Right.
But they're just so humorous.
Yeah.
And they love making people crack up. But so, I tend to come from the perspective of, when you're ready, I'm here. If I've had one of my toughest students, Philip, had two black belts and two other systems before he came to me. I mean, he was in major fights, working on the semi-pro circuit for fighting, and he Man, that dude had fights. And I'm talking bars and parking lots, in addition to what was in the ring.
Yeah.
But he had this ability to understand that he didn't know what training was until he faced some of the stuff that I threw at him. And what I threw at him wasn't terribly special. It was that I came from all angles. I came from different perspectives he had never been exposed to before. And when I pull out a knife or I do something else that was completely unexpected, people like that, again, come to the choice. And I've had it more than once where some would just take off and say, whoa, thank you for the class and whatnot. And we'll see you next week, and you never see them again.
Right.
And on his end, he kept coming and kept coming back and wanted more and more. And it was like, and where he was weak, he wanted more of that training. And it was just like Anna and Ninja that I have now. They know that there's stuff that just makes them, because I'll ask them when we have more intimate, like private training, I'll say, okay, I'll point to one because they're instructor level. So I'll say, what do you think she needs in her training today? That's a deficiency. And then I'll ask the other one, and then I'll say, okay, how best do you think you're going to, or what kind of exercises, what kind of training do you think is going to address her deficiency in this point? And invariably, if they can't come up with something for the other one, the individual will come up and say, I know I suck at this part and I hate doing it, but that's what I got to do. And that's rare because we will address that. It's a fear that they've got to overcome. It's a weakness in the training that they know they have to strengthen. Right. And when you can do that, it's a beautiful thing just watching, and that's across the spectrum. So, yeah.
What role for you over the years, both like you said, being involved for 40 years, teaching for 30, the role of individualism, because it seems to me in some of the online discussions that people don't grasp that aspect of Jeet Kune.
Yeah. And that's hard for me to understand how they don't understand that.
Yeah.
But on the other end, I understand from the perspective of how they've been taught all their life. The individual has usually been beaten out of them. You have to get a job. In order to get a job, you got to be like this. You have to, and I come from a dairy farm. I mean, we were working from, I was literally driving tractor at 7 years old. I mean, I was getting cows, probably at that time at 4 a.m. Work was just life. That was what we did.
Right.
So I lost my track. There's a question.
But so what you're describing there, right? Let me see. I'm going to throw a phrase at you, and you tell me if it applies. Because you're talking about how we've been conditioned to learn, right?
There we go. Correct.
Sequential versus consecutive, right?
Yeah,
No. I'm sorry. No,
contextual.
No, sequential versus simultaneous. I'm sorry, not consecutive. Yeah, sequential versus simultaneous. On the farm at 7, was it always sequential? You had to do this followed by this, or was there?
No.
You see where I'm going?
Because sometimes 1 a.m. you get a call from the neighbor saying the cows broke out and they got through the fence, and so you got to get up and go with the rest of your family or whoever was capable at that time. Walk down the fields with flashlights into the neighbors' yards, into the neighbors' fields. Get the cows from wherever they happen to be and so forth. That was a daily thing. Sometimes the baler would break and we'd have to figure out what the hell. And this is why, we're baling hay and we're trying to get this going. So it's dad is working on this, and has to be a mechanic. You have to be animal husbandry. You have to be, you have to be a carpenter. You have to adapt to all of these things that break down or change, or, animals have a mind of their own. And it's like, you've got to talk about individuality. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get 40 cows, and each cow will have an individual personality. And that I don't mean to relate it to humanity, because but it is, but it does tend to follow in those same patterns.
Yeah.
Because when the institutions of life herd you into that slaughterhouse of individuality, where individuality is just cut and killed, it takes a very long time. A lot of people wait until you're retired before they start understanding this thing they did that they hid from everybody else all their life, they now get to do, because they don't have any more fucks left. It's like, I'm going to do it, to hell with anybody. That's why you see people write or draw or take up these hobbies that they weren't allowed to have back then, because it was looked at as fruitless. It didn't produce money, that sort of silliness. When a lot of these things, if they were expressed to their fullest and really driven onto, would produce loads of money. I mean, creativity is hugely in demand.
Well, that opens up a perfect opportunity for me to segue here into writing. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So apparently you determined way earlier than most people in life that you were done with the F's. You had no more F's to give. So you started.
Yeah. Well,
right.
It tends to, being on the spectrum, you tend to have that a little earlier, where and it isn't just, I wasn't aware of that I should be doing things status quo, or I should be doing things according to certain expectations. I just did my own thing. I was so focused on what I was doing, which happened to be in the creative. I was making films, and I was actually taking, way back in the day, 8mm. I was taking, believe it or not, because I wanted to put laser beams on there. So I had a big old microscope or a magnifying lens and just a one hair brush, and I'd be painting lasers on each frame of the 8mm film, and things like that. So, but I'd be doing that, and I'd forget to eat, and whenever Mom would call us to eat, I'd be like, I'll get there. Yeah. So I didn't have that right off the bat. I had creating, and writing was one of those things, 11, 12 years old, that stayed with me forever. And then, so that hasn't stopped. So I'm working on my 15th novel. I've got probably as many short stories.
But tell people about, there's 15 novels, but tell people, because I love the title, Born of Dark. Tell them about that.
Mm-hmm. It's how vampires should be done. So that's I got tired of sparkly vampires in the media. Probably one of the closer would be Salem's Lot, that Stephen King was hitting on. But mine were, I had to correct a lot of this crap that was done. These are vicious, nasty, vile creatures, but there's something else, another part of humanity, because of something that was done, where he's even darker than that. And so that, it's like where darkness breeds darkness, and then it can't control what it bred. Right. So that's essentially the thrust of that. It's a series of 3 novels. I've got 2 more to go on that. Yeah.
I think I saw up to number 4 is
4 has been announced. I haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
So I'm sidelined by this. Yeah.
I don't want to leave people with the image of you being some dark soul.
No.
I read is it the blurb, I guess we could call it, for More Than This.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
More Than This is a Jeet Kune book. I don't care what you tell me.
Yeah.
It's a Jeet Kune book.
That's true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It comes down to the essence of a substrate of humanity that I basically distilled. I got down through observations since I was in earlier than second grade and found this common thread and common threads, and that each of us has. And I cover a lot of different areas in there, but you'll understand how creativity is important and how everyone is unique and that we're all one, you know. And yeah, so it's definitely an expression, a distilled expression of humanity.
Yeah, I mean, as I was, so that people understand what I'm talking about here, it says, it is for help and develop a forward moving society that has at its base and values the free creating individual. Right. I mean, so when I started reading that stuff, I was like, oh yeah, yeah. Maybe the words Jeet Kune don't even appear in this book anywhere at all, but that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what
it was. My experiences also in JKD and working with all these unique individuals.
Right.
The seeing, and it's wonderful how the Inasano system worked, or the Jeet Kune concepts work, because you have, Pencak Silat, Indonesia, you have muddy terrain and things like that. You have Muay Thai, you have Wing Chun, a refinement in there. You have Savate, Boxe Francais. You have Jun Fan. All of these from different cultures, all of these experiences, and there is a common thread. And then there is that creativity, and there's those elements that, regardless of the culture, the enculturing that they try to put on the individual and try to shape them, meaning a Wing Chun man is going to be a Wing Chun man. A Silat guy is only going to be a Silat guy. But somebody who gets in a fight all the time, who goes and gets double black belts and other systems, then comes to JKD and all of a sudden discovers, I'm unique.
Right.
What I train, what I express in combat is truth. My instructor isn't with me. I am on my own with all of my experiences, and I've got to be able to adapt and create in the moment with all available source material channeled through my sensory input. And so that's I distill even why identical twins are completely unique. It's how I did it was pretty awesome in the book. So, but yeah, that was a lot of labor.
All right. So listen, I mean, sometimes when you're finishing up interviews like this, you go, "What's next for whatever." But there isn't a what's next, because
no.
Right, because you're deep into corejkd.net.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's so much stuff going on there. Right. So so tell people to visit it. They should go visit it, and they should go visit it
because if you're looking for training that you have never seen before, if you're looking for how to actually disarm karambits of somebody who's actually trying to cut you, somebody who's actually trying to slice you up, somebody who has got buddies, 2 or 3 of them are attacking you and surrounding you, and they're pummeling you. One of them might have a weapon. One might just sit outside and punch you while the other are working grappling. How do you deal with that? We cover that. There is such extensive, including slow motion replays of some of our training, sparring, the Red Man work. There's a complete methodology of how to ingrain peripheral skill reading to where you can pick up something from a distance early and instinctively move or respond to it before you're even realizing that you're moving or responding. It was just by the stimulus of what was perceived through the visual sense or the auditory sense or tactilely.
Nice.
It covers all of that. There's so much. I was loading all these videos in and I was just looking at that and I said, holy crap, because even my student, because I have Anna also helping to organize some of the stuff, she says, we did a lot of stuff. There is a lot there.
Yeah.
But it's open, and to do it, there's people, you can go with a 3-day pass or a 7-day pass or a month. You can sign up for, there's a group leader where you pay monthly, and basically you get access to just about everything there, including all of my sale videos, which are also on the streaming sale videos. And those are extensive, and they cover multiple opponent attacks. They cover smaller versus larger. There are so many things that we had to do that we trained really hard. And we had, Ray, who's 6'4", 6'5", going against the girls. And I had to develop a specific training because each one of them's wiry and savate precise, where the other one is more a grappler and nasty in the fight. It's so cool when you see these individuals.
Yeah.
How can I make them? What's the baseline that I can train to make them effective against a large opponent? Well, there are certain physical, tactile things. Every human and animal and all the objects we use respond to physics. So there are certain leverage systems. There are certain ways to manipulate when you are picked up by a large person and trying to be carried off somewhere, how you can easily, with some good training and with some good education, make them fall down and then make them completely drop you, and you're on top and you're ready to, hammer it out or escape. We do where people are attacked in a car, on a bed. There's so much more coming as well. We just don't stop our training.
Nice.
And there's all that and more. And and there's also some of the elements of the core JKD manual, which I'm putting up on there in little bits in the documents until I get the full volume done. And there are other documents on there. I put up statistics for knife attacks, what actually occurs. Some of it's kind of gruesome, and I put links to where I actually get the data from people who actually have governmental resources and actually procured the data from emergency rooms and things like that. So I have that on there for everyone as well, because we need to understand that. And we need to understand what truly occurs in the fight and what truly occurs all the way around. So,
excellent.
But yeah,
all right.
Okay. Plenty more to come.
Guys, start going corejkd.net. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
You too.
I really look forward to it, and I always feel enlightened when I'm done talking.
I am honored. I'm honored. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, listen, man. Have a great weekend. And let's do this in a few weeks. As the site develops and what have you, come back and tell us some more about it. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'd be happy to.
All right,
Thank
man. You take care.
Take care. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. So that was episode 212 of the Jeet Kune Dialogues with Shaun, Ming, Rudie. Check him out, corejkd.net. I've been there. It's a great site. There's a lot of good stuff on there. A lot of it unique to the JKD world, I would say. So yeah, do that. What else do I have to tell you? Go ahead, comment. Let me know what you think of this episode. I didn't get to ask Ming who he thought I should bring onto the program, but I will reach out to his guy in Germany, see if we can do that. All right, so that's it for today. Feel free, share, like, comment, ask questions. I'll review everything after posting. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. Remember that the Jeet Kune Journey, Volume 1, autobiographical essays by yours truly, the Jeet Kune Rebel, available, the raw but edited PDF version. Get it at paypal.me/unifiedma $9.95 for the PDF version. I told you in the beginning, coming up next Friday, March 11th, episode 213 with Pedro Rodriguez of Progressive Fighting Systems in Palm Beach, and should be at the regular 6 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll see some of you next Wednesday for the I Love Jeet Kune broadcast. If not, hopefully I'll see you next Friday for another episode of the Jeet Kune Dialogues. So till the next episode, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel, signing off. You guys enjoy your weekend. Take care. Be safe. Talk soon.